Don't quit. That's our talk for today. Don't quit. The theme for all of June has been push past the limits, and we have to remember to don't quit. Actually, though, we recognize that it's impossible to quit. I mean, the universe just keeps going on. That was the purpose of the reading today, was just to recognize how infinite. We hear that the universe is infinite, but it just goes on and on and on. So I don't know where we think we're going when we quit. But why do we want to quit? We want to quit because we keep coming up against walls that seem insurmountable. And generally, we feel like, well, there's different things we tell ourselves. One of the things we tell ourselves is if we keep coming up against the same wall, well, the universe doesn't want me to have this. The universe is saying no. Let me be clear, the universe never says no. The universe is never saying you can't have what you want. It may take a while, yes, but it's still saying yes. Every time I've ever gone for anything, this universe never says, no, that's not important, or that's not your calling. Sure, yes, go for it. We are all here with desires. Those three bodies that I was just talking about, the physical body, then our astral energy body, our causal body, those all are kept. We're kept in the body by our desires. We are here because we have desires. Until we are fully free of them, let's not pretend we don't have them. So Spirit never asks us to pretend that we don't have desires. So if you have a desire to be fully enlightened and give everything to God, and that's the only desire you have, that's fantastic. But if you have a desire for a car, that's also fantastic. There is no judgment on what we want, whether we want a new job, if we want to change careers, if we want to have a relationship. Nothing is denied us ever, and there's never a universe saying, nope, that's a bad idea, don't do that. I deny you that. Nothing is ever denied us. In fact, there was a point I wanted to be an actress. I've mentioned that before, and I used mental affirmations, and I'd never even been in a play. Didn't deter me. So I just was doing affirmations, creating the reality, and I auditioned for an acting school in LA. I got into the acting school, which I thought was pretty impressive, having never been in a play. And I remember just sitting in the class, and I was taking notes, and he's just talking, and I'm listening, and from a completely different place, this inner no came out. But it was so loving. It wasn't like, this is bad, or I could create my reality, and if I wanted, when I left the school, they said, well, the teachers are saying you're doing well enough, you don't have to leave. I'm like, I do. I mean, I could have stayed. I could have continued to use my mind to create the reality, but I recognize this isn't mine to do. So we have to learn how to distinguish, is this mine to do? Is it just a good idea? Or is it just a good idea and that maybe other people are called to do it? Or is this my idea? And so that's the question I get all the time. How do I know when to stop? And we know when to stop when we know we don't really want it. I didn't really want to become an actress. It was just a cool idea that I was willing to invest some energy into. But once I actually really was going along, I realized I really wasn't that interested in being an actress. I just loved the idea of it more than anything. And so I recognized it wasn't for me to persist doing. And that's how we start saying, do I genuinely not desire this anymore? Because if we still desire it and we just let it go because we've hit this wall, it's still in us. We can push away those desires, but that doesn't mean they're gone. They're in our bodies. They're in our physical body. They're in our energy body. They're in our causal body. Those desires, that's what brought us here. That's why we're in this form. So just because we're hitting a wall does not mean it's not meant to be. It's just we've hit a wall. It doesn't mean the universe has said no. It just means we hit this wall. And so another big thing is judgment. We judge ourselves. Oh, I've done this so many times. I've been hitting the same wall over and over again for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I thought I was through this. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this when I talk with people. I've done this. I've already been here. I thought I overcame this obstacle already. I thought I was on the other side of it. Or I've been working on trying to change my salary. Or I've been working on getting a relationship. Relationships are big ones. I've been wanting to be in a relationship for years now, and nothing is working. Nothing is working. So if the universe is for me, then I'm either not meant to have it, which was the first one, we'll cancel that one, or I'm just not good enough, or I'm not meant to have it, and we just beat ourselves up. And mostly we beat ourselves up because of time. And that's the other reason why I wanted to show, I gave that reading. We are here for millions of years. We are here on this planet. We go on to the average lifespan, and he was saying in the energy body is 500 to 1,000 years. And then you have multiple reincarnations, apparently, in your energy body. You have your causal body, where you have thousands of years and multiple rebirths until you're willing to let that go. This is a really long time. So if you say, well, I've been working on this for 10 or 20 years, that may seem really long to us, but in this big, vast oceanic, it is nothing. It is a drop in the ocean. So let's let go of this whole thing. Well, I've been working on it for 20 years, so it's not meant to be, or I'm too much of a loser, or amazing what people say about themselves or willing to say about themselves, because I just can't fix myself, and I haven't been able to, and I've done everything possible. So what we have to be nice to ourselves. So don't quit. Don't quit. Be kind to yourself. You got eternity. I just have to say this, because I just read this week, and it's got me thinking. The way I've always seen eternity is timelessness beyond all time and space. And then I was just reading in Sri Aurobindo, the way he was describing it was, spirit is timelessness. It's beyond all time and space. That's eternity. He said, but all physical form is spirit. So time and space is also eternal. And that made me stop and think. So he's saying, so we say time and space are temporary. They come and they go. But he's saying, actually, because it's an expression of eternity, the timeless, spaceless eternity, spirit, time and space is eternal. There actually is no beginning and no ending to time or to space. I don't know what I think about that, but it was just a new idea. But if that's true, we're here for a really long time. We're in this incredible transformation, so be gentle on yourself. Be kind on yourself. If you have desires, allow yourself to have them. We are here because of our desires. They are not bad. Sometimes I think we feel in the spiritual world, I should only want holy things. I should only want to be enlightened. But everything, from the minutest little detail, I want my day to go well without hitting any red lights. I don't know, little things, to the big, vast oceanic questions. So don't quit. But we do need to rest. It's interesting, we're reading Testimony of Light on Tuesday nights, and in this chapter about resurrection, there's a lot of talking about sleeping. That when we go through these big transitions, when we are on this big life journey, we do need to rest. Our soul, there's a reason why we sleep every night, that we do need to just go, to sleep. And so there are times in our life where it's okay to just sleep. I know when I left the acting school, I wasn't depressed, but I had no more energy left because I didn't know what was next. I literally slept for a month, all day and all night. I had no energy. But fortunately, I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't judge it. I didn't think it was bad. I just knew I was tired. I was just so tired of trying and efforting to create something that really didn't feel right, but I didn't know what else to do. And so I just slept. Thank goodness, I love my dad. I slept at his house. So I didn't have to worry about paying bills. God always takes care of us. But it was great just to sleep for 1 month. And then at the end of that month, suddenly I was in this dream state, and I was shown exactly what was next, and it was like it was gone. I didn't need any more sleep, wasn't tired anymore, I was ready to go and charged forward. It wasn't a bad thing that I slept. We have such a negative, if someone just wants to sleep all the time, now if it becomes a habit pattern, like that just becomes a way of life, then we want to get concerned. But if there's a time where you're just tired, you've tried to change, you've been working at this wall, this limit in you that you really want to move past and you can't, and you need rest, give yourself rest. One of the most important things that we have to learn on this journey is to be compassionate with ourselves, to not judge ourselves. We are so mean to ourselves. Be kind, be soft. We are beautiful beings. God loves us. We love one another. Talk to your friends. They'll tell you to take care of yourself. One of the other ways we build rest into our everyday life is through meditation practice. I absolutely believe in meditation practice, having a daily practice, because it's a way, we know at the very least, it gives us rest. It creates a place where we get to know a little bit of peace every day. And one of the common things is I'm not good at meditating, or I don't have time to meditate. But that rest is actually what's going to energize us for the rest of the day. And so even if we just sit down on a chair and we just are still, and I always, if you're new to meditation or fairly new, have a technique. I talk to people and they say, I just sit there and try to stop my mind. That doesn't really help. If you at least, so a technique is just counting your breaths. Count your breath. In Zen meditation, you just count your breath in and out till 10, and then you start over, and that's all you do. How hard is that? Well, actually, it's really hard if you try to actually. By 4, I'm off somewhere. I don't know where I am. And you're not allowed to continue when you go back. I'm not allowed to go back to 5. I have to go back to 1. Or sometimes you go off to like 15 or 16. But it brings so much joy. I remember I was doing Zen meditation, and I went to a Zen temple, and I just remember just giggling, and then, for no reason. And what was I doing? I was just counting my breath to 10. I wasn't doing anything. But it was just that joy of letting go, of having the space. Or say a mantra, love is I am, God is I am. There are many simple, very simple meditation techniques. And then people say, well, I have bad meditations because all I do is sit down and my mind goes, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? You're aware that your mind goes, blah, 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 and that place of you that's aware that your mind's going, blah, 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 is the place of rest. So just the fact that you took 20 minutes to stop and be conscious of how much your mind is going, that part of you that is conscious that your mind is going, is the place where you get the rest. That's the part that you start carrying with you throughout the day, that starts to witness what's going on with you. And that's the place where this eternal rest. So we get into this yin and the yang, the activity and the stillness that we hear in Taoism, stillness and activity. And that's really what meditation is preparing us for, not just while we're sitting, but then throughout life as we're striving, as we're always constantly growing. We want to push those limits. But we push those limits in a state of restfulness. So if I play sports, many people get into the zone all the time playing sports. Music, you move into the zone. You don't move into the zone by just falling asleep, by being so relaxed. It's an intensity. When you move into the zone, I'm guessing in music, you're intense, like you're into it, right? You're into that musical rhythm. When we're playing a sport, it's not just sort of, oh, yeah, whatever, we're just having fun. It's the people who go into the zone are, I want to win. I am focused on bringing the best forth. And then it's that striving, that intensity of total focus, but at the same time, we then move into this incredible stillness inside, this incredible peace. I was reading Zen Mind and Beginner's Mind, and I was playing racquetball with my brother, and I always want to beat him, but of course I have a natural competitive self, which I think we all do, if we are honest, but it's not bad. It's just fun. It's playful. The striving is playful. But I was just focusing also on my breath because I was just learning this, reading Zen Mind. And so I'm wanting to win, but also focusing on my breath. And I did. I went right into that zone. And I played the best game of racquetball I ever played, but I was not in my mind forcing it. I was striving and yet relaxing all at the same time. And that's what we're doing. That's what we want to get to, the place of striving and relaxing simultaneously. And then it just gets into everyday life. In Ministers, we have conferences every year to all meet each other. And I remember we were at a conference, this was back in the 90s, and everybody hasn't seen each other for a year, and everyone's talking. And Reverend Michael Beckwith, my mentor, I was watching him, and books influenced me, so I was reading the Tao at the time, wondering what the stillness and activity looked like, just humanly. And I was watching him, and he was going around talking to everybody, hey, how you doing, how you doing? And I'm looking at him, and I experienced this incredible stillness at the center of his being. And it was just this aha moment. I'm like, oh, that's what it means to be really social and at the same time completely quiet inside, completely still. And that's what this journey is about. We have a lot of expansion, of a lot of striving, and it loses its joy when we get so focused only on the striving and we forget to do the stillness. And it gets a little boring if we just do the stillness and we don't do the striving, because the striving is the adventure. In both this book and in Testimony of Light, they talk a lot about adventure. And I remember reading, someone was talking about planet Earth, and he said he doesn't like the whole metaphor that this is a school where we're here to learn lessons. He said, that is just no fun. I look at it as one big amusement park. Roller coaster rides that terrify you, things that make you a little sick to your stomach, but you want to do them anyway. It's like how we view the world. Are we willing to play and expand who we are and enjoy the ride, enjoy it? It's scary. We get a little sick sometimes. We want to withdraw. There's times to withdraw. I don't want to go on a ride today. It doesn't feel so good anymore. My stomach's done for the day. So we want to meditate. Do a daily, and it's not for holy spiritual reasons. It's for rest, to give yourself rest as we're striving. The other thing about striving and not quitting is be curious. I was asking in the middle of the night, just as I was falling back asleep, what do I say today? What does Spirit want me to say? And those words came through, be curious. Children are infinitely curious. They live in awe, and they're always, call them sponges. They're hearing everything. They're open to everything. And somehow we get that when we're older, we already know what we think. We already have our habit patterns well and groove, and so we don't need to be learning new things all the time. And how boring is that? Look at that, how big that vast universe is that we were talking about. We're all children. We're all still so young. We have to keep learning and trying new things. Even when I was in my late 20s, I was working in a psychiatric hospital, and I have no memory of what the discussion was, but I was having a discussion with somebody, and there's a psychiatrist listening, and he just looks at me and he goes, oh. He said, you're still talking about those things? That's stuff you talk about in college, like what's the meaning of life, but you should be done with that now. And I'm like, I'm in my late 20s. Oh, okay. But the funny thing was that he was pursuing me heavily to wanted to date. And I just thought, there's an attraction to it, too. As much as he was disparaging it, there was a part of him that liked that youthfulness, that creativity. And George and Gail aren't here, but one of the things I love about them is they're always curious. Edie, always curious. There's no end to that curiosity. There's no age limit to that curiosity, to wanting to try new things, to explore new things. Be curious about the things that we're interested in and also what other people are interested in. That I'm not ever going to be a musician. It's not my thing. But I have learned so much. I've become so much more conscious of music and its impact. I never used to even pay attention to it when I was watching a movie. Now I'm very aware of it because of Jack. Because he's brought that into my life. And that's why we're on this planet with all these other people and all these other beings, is to learn new things. It doesn't have to be our thing, but we can learn from one another. I don't know what made me think of this story. It seems like it's irrelevant, but I just thought I think it's cool. So I did a paper when I was in college on the group think process. And we come together because especially us, we're little oddballs in Livermore. So it's nice to be around people that think alike. But we also don't want to disparage and say we all have different perspectives in this room too, that as much as we know our oneness, we also know our diversity. Everyone here in this room has a completely unique path. No one's path looks like anyone else's in this room. And to appreciate that diversity, to appreciate our differences. So in this groupthink process, the Kennedy administration wanted to do something with Cuba. I wrote this paper a long time ago. I don't remember what. And they did the Bay of Pigs. A leader came in and said, this is what we need to do. And they all just agreed with this general, and they did it, and it was a complete disaster. It fell apart. So they looked at their process, and what they realized is everyone agreed too much. Everyone was just sort of following the leader and saying, yes, this is what we need to do. And so they said, from now on, when we come along big decisions, we need to have everyone come in with their different perspectives. No one gives in to someone else's perspective just because it sounds good. We need to hear from as many different people as they can. So when the Cuban Missile Crisis came up, they actually very intentionally gave as many different perspectives from as many different departments in the government as they could before they made a decision. It was far more complex. It was far more uncomfortable because everyone wasn't agreeing. They all had different perspectives. But by going through a much more complicated process, they got to a much more effective solution. And so the missile crisis was de-escalated as opposed to escalated, which basically this whole process stopped war from happening, which is pretty huge. That's why I remember this paper, because it was just this realization of, wow, different perspectives are essential. We need to hear from one another. So be curious about your own interests. Be curious. Always be growing in your own desires. But also be curious about other people, not for a lifelong, I want to change my life and become a musician, but we learn, we grow, and we expand as we hear from one another. And we share our perspectives with other people. Also, I just have to say, from the person, I always appreciate this about Jack, because there's nothing more difficult when you ask somebody because you're interested and they're like, oh yeah, well this is nothing. Like I was talking to the scientist at Livermore Labs and I made the mistake of asking him something. And I'm like, my eyes were crossed. I had no idea what he was talking about. He had no idea that I had no idea what he was talking about. I'm like, how does he not know that I have no idea these words that he's using? And he just kept talking, and I just thought, so we have to make sure we're understandable, that what may be easy for us, and we're like, duh, might be completely foreign to someone else. So that's just to all of you. As someone asks you and wants to know something about you, make it understandable. Jack does that with music. He always makes it understandable to me when I ask him questions, which I very much appreciate. Thank you. Don't quit. Keep striving. We are in this extraordinary playground. We are in this extraordinary amusement park of life. This incredible cosmos just in the physical realm, in the energy body, in the causal body, and it is all good. The universe is all good. It is for us, all of it. This vastness is for us. It is saying yes to us at our deepest level, and every level, not just in our deepest level, on our shallowest level. On every level, it's saying yes to us. Don't quit. Meditate. Rest if you need to. Withdraw if you need to, but don't quit. Give yourself, keep saying, yes, okay, I'm going to take a rest now, but I'm going to come back at this. If I want this thing, I'm going to try again. And I'm going to try again. And I'm going to try again. And I'm going to try again. Okay, I need to rest a little bit because I'm tired now. I've tried enough. And the trying again, we might come at it from different perspectives. We get help from friends who might give us a different way of doing it. And then we fail again. We try again. We're pushing past these limits. We have eternity to do it. Don't quit, because always when we move past, I know everyone here has had that experience when we've pushed past a limit, when we've gone a little bit further than we have before, what's the experience? Pure joy, isn't it? Just, you feel bigger, wider, more open, more joyful. You feel more alive than you've ever felt before. And it's you now. It's not just a momentary experience. Now you're on this other side of whatever that limit was, and you're walking on this planet just a little bit brighter, a little bit happier, a little bit more freer, more free than you were before. Don't quit. Enjoy it. It's a blast. Let's pray. And how delicious it is to pray, because when we pray, we are just turning our attention away from all this stuff into this wonderful presence of pure bliss. To recognize that in this room, all the bliss, the joy, the delight of the universe, the playfulness, the freedom, the kindness, the generosity, the beauty, the harmony, the grace, the love, the intelligence, all that Spirit is all of the time for all eternity is right now as us in this room. It is all that we are. It is that which we are becoming more and more in our awareness. It already is us, and we are just becoming more of it, moment by moment. And so how grateful I am that I am standing in a room full of people on this wonderful journey. I am standing in a room with my angels who are here to be my wing, to help me fly as we help each other to fly. We are all supporting each other in this wonderful amusement park of joy. When we need support, we give each other support. When we need rest, we give each other rest. We give each other space. And we are there when people need each other. None of us are here alone, that we are one life, one love, one power, one grace, and we are walking this magnificent journey. We are playing this magnificent journey together. We understand the challenges. We understand the pain. We understand the suffering that we feel when we hit those limits over and over. And so we surround our own self with compassion and not judgment. We surround ourselves with deep patience, the patience of the infinite, to know that there is no hurry. There is no wrong. Nothing bad has happened. Nothing that bad that will last. that only good is what lasts, only love is what lasts, only what beauty is what lasts. So we just have the patience to allow that goodness, that beauty, that abundance, that prosperity, that love, that intimacy, all that we seek to know within us is even now available as we continue to say yes. We continue to say yes. We continue to say yes to all of our desires. We continue to say yes to all of our desires, physical desires, emotional desires, intellectual desires, energy desires, causal desires on every level and dimension of our being, desires to be fully enlightened, to be one with God and all creation, not just intellectually, but on every level and dimension of our being. Those desires to be fully self-expressed, God expressed on every level and dimension of our being. From our deepest desires, we are that yes, we are that now. And this community is committed to that now. This community is committed to being the light of the universe, the way, the truth, and the light, to be more light, to be more joy, to be more peace, to be more freedom than ever before. And as we anchor that with each other and support each other in that growth and expansion, we are bursting forth out into our community, Livermore, Tri-Valley, Bay Area, the nation, the cosmos, to all dimensions of time and space. We are bursting forth with our delight and our energy, our bliss that we are now, our creative expression, our relationship expression, our financial expression. On every level, we are that wonderful divine energy, and we become a blessing to this entire universe. We become that heaven on earth consciousness in which people are seeking. We are here to be leaders of light, and we are that now. And so for that infinite goodness, for the power of the living God, as each and every one in this room, for anyone who can hear my voice, I just say thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you for this infinite yes, for the infinite goodness that we are each becoming every breath, this day, this moment, this now moment. So in all this good, I just release this word now. I completely take my hands off it. I just let it be, knowing that as it is spoken, it truly is done, as each and every one of us here. And I invite us all to say together now, and so it is.